Okay, we will start now. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the online town hall for the update to the Contra Costa Countywide Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan. My name is Brad Beck. I'm the Senior Transportation Planner at Contra Costa Transportation Authority and the Project Manager on the update to the plan. I'm joined today by Patrick Gilster and Megan Mittman of Fair & Pierce, the transportation consulting firm that's helping the authority with the update. I'll start the town hall by giving you some background on the authority, what it is, and the goals and purposes of the plan. I'll then turn it over to Patrick and Megan to get your thoughts on what would best encourage walking and bicycling at Contra Costa. As part of their presentation, Patrick and Megan will ask for feedback through real-time online polling. Your answers will be automatically tabulated, and we'll discuss them as part of the presentation today. At the end, we'll provide some closing comments on the schedule of the update and how you can continue to be involved. We're recording the town hall, and we're going to post it on our website, keepcontracostamoving.net. If you know someone who couldn't listen in today, but they'd like to listen in and respond to the polling questions, tell them about the website. They'll be able to watch the presentations and respond to the same set of polling questions that you'll be asked today. So what is the Contra Costa Transportation Authority? It was created in 1988 to manage Measure C, the county's transportation sales tax measure, and later Measure J, which was adopted in 2004. We're not part of the county government, and we're not the bus company, but we do work with the county, the bus operators, BART, Park District, and all of the cities and towns in Contra Costa to plan, fund, and deliver critical transportation infrastructure projects and programs. Our goal is to connect our communities, foster a strong economy, increase sustainability, and safely and efficiently get people where they need to go. The authority is involved in many kinds of transportation efforts, from local streets and highways to BART buses, carpooling, ferries, safe routes to school, programs for seniors and people with disabilities. We've planned, designed, funded, managed a number of projects like the Caldecott Fourth Bore, Highway 4 widening, and the extension of BART to East County. The authority is also increasingly involved in planning and funding bicycle and pedestrian projects. As the congestion management agency for Contra Costa, we're in a unique position to make walking and bicycling accessible, connected, equitable, safe, and enjoyable. And we're in a position to support similar efforts by local agencies throughout Contra Costa. We funded a number of projects, from the new pedestrian overcrossing of I-80 to get school kids to the Riverside Elementary School, the Iron Horse Trail overcrossing over Treat Boulevard, the Carquinez Scenic Trail near Martinez as part of the Bay Trail, and to streetscape improvements on Railroad Avenue in Danville. Those are just a sampling of the projects. The authority adopted its first countywide bicycle and pedestrian plan in 2003. We updated it in 2009 as a way to encourage more people to walk and bicycle in Contra Costa. Since 2009, there have been a lot of innovations in the design of bicycle and pedestrian facilities. And we've also seen an increased interest in biking and walking as an accepted way to get around. Through the update of the Countywide Bicycle and Pedestrian Plan, we want to better understand where, how often people like yourself walk and bicycle in the county, so that we can improve safety and comfort for bicyclists, to identify gaps and barriers in the bicycle and pedestrian network, connect local jurisdictions to create a regional backbone and harmonize local plans, and to support local and regional efforts to encourage walking and bicycling. To achieve these goals, we're going to be asking you a couple of questions. Where do you bicycle and walk? Where are the gaps and barriers in the bike and that pedestrian network? What should Contra Costa's future network look like? How can Contra Costa better serve children and seniors who bike or walk? And what facilities or programs would best meet the community's needs and support the largest shift to bicycling and walking? Now, I'd like to turn it over to Patrick and Megan for the town hall itself.
Thanks, Brad. So to elaborate on Brad's point, the purpose of today's online town hall is really allowing us to drill down on our primary question with the plan update, and that is, what would it take to get you to bike and walk more in Contra Costa? So part of that is understanding who's on the phone with us, what are your concerns, and what would you like to see going forward? So to help us with that question, we'll be answering, we'll have a series of polling questions. I'll be doing the first 4, and Megan will pick up the second 4 in part 2. The first ones help deal with who's on the phone and what are your concerns. So I'll go through these series of 4 questions and then display the results at the end. So before we get started, we wanted to get a better idea of who was on the phone and how you relate to biking and walking in Contra Costa. So our first question is focused on bicyclists. And therefore, there are several different types of cyclists out there, and we really want to understand which one are you. So are you the strong and fearless? So are you a road cyclist or someone who's out there all the time and not afraid to be out there with mixed traffic? Are you B, an enthused and confident person who sometimes likes to maybe bike to BART or bike for pleasure, other things, but still not always comfortable on certain types of roadway facilities? Or are you C, someone who really wants to ride but is hesitant to use different types of facilities? Or there's sometimes the people who identify as D, the no way, no how group. So these are the users who simply aren't willing or aren't able to bike throughout the county. So I'll give you guys a second to select one of your answers, and we'll check back in just a sec. Great, so it looks like we have 100% of people who have voted. So really, now that we know who you are, we really want to know what concerns you about biking in Contra Costa. So in identifying what are the key barriers that's preventing you from doing so. So what concerns you most about bicycling in Contra Costa County? Is it A, that sometimes cars go too fast, that you're afraid to mix with traffic, or that you need a separated type of facility, or B, that intersections are difficult to cross and we need to look at potential what upgrades could be made to those? Or C, is there a lack of wall or barrier between bikes and cars, so it's really that you need a physical separation potentially? Or D, is that maybe it's the end of trip facilities that are the barrier to you, that there's nowhere to park your bike and we need to look at a need for better bike parking? So we'll give you a second to respond to that and we'll check back in just a sec. Looks like we're almost there. Great, it looks like we have everyone voted. And then similarly to biking, there are a multitude of people who walk in Contra Costa County, and we really want to understand the main reasons people are already enjoying walking around the county. So there are similarly several different types of pedestrians, and we want to understand which one you are. So are you A, that you like to walk as much as possible? You're frequently out there no matter what type of trip or errand you're doing, you're always choosing to walk. Or B, that you really focus on walking your child to school, and that's what's important to you, so school access. Or C, do you walk to access transit and then ride to work or ride to another errand or to a concert or something along those lines? Or D, that you walk to your car and then you drive home. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to respond, or a few seconds to respond, and we'll check back in just a sec. Looks like we're almost there. Great. And then similarly, we really want to know what concerns you most about walking in Contra Costa County. So we can look at focusing on ways to improve that with the plan update. So is it that A, challenging intersections or crosswalks are present and that those should be looked at for upgrades, or that there's B, a lack of wayfinding or signage, that it's difficult to get around and that it's not intuitive? Or C, that there are missing or uneven sidewalks. So are there tree root problems? Are there gaps in the sidewalk network and you're forced to walk on dirt or on the street? Or D, is there a lack of benches or shade, so other amenities along your way as you would walk that prevent you from walking? Or E, that it's a personal safety reason that you feel unsafe walking around Contra Costa County?
Thanks, Patrick. Thank you all so much for giving us some of your time today and sharing your lunch hour with us. As we heard earlier, one of the key reasons for updating the plan right now is that there's some new tools in our toolbox, and we're really excited about them because we think that their ability to help make it feel safer and more comfortable for people to walk and bike is really promising, and we'd like to get to introduce some of those and to spread some more implementation of those throughout the county. So I'm going to be introducing kind of the vocabulary, teaching you the tools in the toolbox a bit, and then asking for your input once we talk about what those are. We'll start with the bikes, and then we'll talk about the pedestrian facilities as well. So we call these good ideas. So good ideas in terms of their potential for use here in the county, and also the potential that we're seeing as we're kind of reading the research and seeing pictures and examples of them being installed really all around the US. And in some cases, these are really coming to us internationally, things that have been in place for a long time throughout the world. So shared use paths is nothing new, though. It's just more the idea of doing more of these would be the new idea or the good idea. We have trails all around Contra Costa. You can see some pictures and examples here: the Iron Horse, Delta de Anza, the Contra Costa Canal, Ohlone Greenway, Lafayette Moraga. These are just a few of the examples. We're really rich in our opportunities for trails here and for more trails. So what we'd like you to weigh in on when we do the poll later is whether this should be one of the primary things that we focus on for this plan. Separated bikeways is kind of a newer device, a newer thought. What it really means is taking that trail concept, that how comfortable you feel when you're riding on those trails, and bringing that to the street so that you'd still be kind of on the pavement, on the street itself, but you'd have some barriers both kind of next to you as well as what we call a vertical and horizontal. So a little bit of space next to the cars, but also some type of a raised space, a raised wall or other type of barrier so that you feel physically separated from the vehicles. These are in place really internationally. As I mentioned, this is something that we're learning the lessons from around the world and bringing them here, and there's an opportunity to bring that trail feeling, but to kind of the street itself. Buffered bicycle lanes, we refer to these often as kind of a low-hanging fruit treatment. And what I mean by that is we don't have to really install anything new to be able to put these in. This is just putting different paint to reallocate how we paint our roadways to be able to give people on bikes a little bit more space, to feel like you're not right up next to the cars, and you're also not right up next to the parked cars and where those doors might be opening. And so this would be an opportunity as we're repaving our roads and repainting our roads, just to reallocate, to change the amount of space that we give to the different areas on the street, and in doing so to be able to give a little bit more of a buffer to the bikes. Just like we talk about pedestrians needing opportunities and space to cross the street and to feel comfortable crossing the street, that the same is true for bicycles. Some of this is wayfinding in terms of navigating. Sometimes you might need to make a left turn to stay on the bicycle route, and so those crossings need to be clear throughout the intersection. And sometimes there's just a lot of different movements that are happening. There's people that are turning left, people that are turning right. Maybe you need to turn left or turn right. And so ways to put down some paint, to think about traffic signals that are actually for bicycles, so dedicated signals for bicycling, ways to just enhance the comfort of people not just on corridors but actually crossing the street for bicycles. And then finally, the bicycle boulevard. And so this is really another kind of treatment that is supposed to make you feel like you're on a trail. That's still the same comfort as if you were on a trail, but this time you're on just a neighborhood residential street. And the way that we can make it feel just as comfortable as being on a trail is by making sure that those streets are ones that the cars are going really slow, or maybe there aren't a lot of cars at all, and that your ability to kind of navigate through is really clear. So there's signs that tell you, turn left here, or maybe, 2 more blocks up is going to be your key destination. And it's just as important to be thinking about things in the mid-block, kind of between the block treatment, as it is to make sure that the bicycle boulevards can cross the street as well. So it's the combination of both when we think about implementing bicycle boulevards in the county. So now we'd really like to get your feedback, and here's just a reminder of the 5 different ones that I just introduced to you, on which of any of these, and you can select all of the above if you want, or just some sample of them, would most likely encourage you to bicycle more. So we'll go ahead and open that poll in just a second. Okay, so similarly, I'm going to walk through a few different treatment ideas, the tools in the toolbox on the pedestrian side, and then we have a poll at the end of that as well. So installing more lighting, we asked you earlier about reasons why you might feel uncomfortable walking, and certainly one of those might be personal safety. So installing more lighting could make it so that you feel more comfortable walking at night. Better wayfinding. So sometimes just to know it's only 2 more blocks ahead or a couple more minutes, or if you turn left, you're really close to downtown and you might be able to stop there and get a cup of coffee to make it so that it's more comfortable and easier to find your way as a pedestrian. Improve crossings. So there's actually quite a few new tools, and you may have seen them being installed in different cities around the county so far. So new types of warning devices, of treatments that we can put in to really help you as a pedestrian be more visible to drivers and have it such that drivers are more likely to yield to you so that when you cross the street, you get that gap and feel safe and easily able to cross the street. There are many places around the county where we don't have sidewalks, or we have a few blocks where there's maybe a gap in the sidewalk network. And so there could be an opportunity for us to really focus on filling in those gaps and adding additional sidewalks so that people aren't walking in the street but have a separated area to be walking. More benches and trees. So these would be opportunities. Obviously, we have real summers out here in Contra Costa, especially on this side of the hills where we are out here in Walnut Creek this morning. So having more trees, more shade, benches, water fountains, places for people to take a break and maybe be able to walk for longer distances because there's rest areas and comfort. Great, so now we'd like to open up a final poll, which is to ask you a question about which of these treatments for pedestrians would help to encourage you to be able to walk more. This time it does say please select all that apply, so please go ahead and click on whichever of these falls into that category for you. So we've just introduced some specific tools in the toolbox and got your feedback on some of the key challenges and opportunities as relates to those, but that was all pretty generic and pretty big picture. So we want to give you an opportunity to visit our website for this project and get more specific. There's an opportunity to go in on this website and drop a pin, to draw a line, to give us feedback on a couple different things. So one is where you really enjoy walking and biking. That helps us to learn the lessons of what's been working and think about how we could be doing more of that as we do the plan. But then similarly, we really want to find out what those key barriers are to you, where those specific intersections, those specific corridors are that if we were to put projects in those locations could really specifically address for you and for the destinations where you're trying to reach to help you be able to walk and bike more safely and more comfortably. So that'll be open through the end of the month, and we really encourage you to go there to do that interactive web map. There's also a survey on there to give us some more input and some more feedback. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Brad to wrap up this town hall.
Thanks, Patrick and Megan. This PowerPoint and a recording of our presentation today, we're going to post that on our project website. We mentioned it before, keepcontracostamoving.net. It's going to be available through the end of the month, as Megan mentioned. And if you have any friends or family or other people you know who haven't had an opportunity to listen in this lunch hour, please send to the website. They'll be able to listen in to this presentation and to respond to all the questions that you were able to respond to. And as Megan mentioned, we hope you'll look at the interactive web map and provide you your input on places you think are good to walk or bicycle, places you think are bad and need improvement. As I mentioned, it'll be open until the end of the month, and we hope to have a draft plan out sometime after the first of the year for you to review. Again, I'd like to thank you very much for spending your lunch hour, well, lunch half hour with us today, and I look forward to your continued involvement in the update to the countywide pedestrian and bicycle plan. Thank you very much.